Hey, what's up? This is Omega Agent 661, and today we're going to review the Kershaw Atmos. Let's get to it. Shoo! Alright, so before I get into the review, I just want to give a huge shout out to Kershaw. I won this beautiful knife on a contest that ran on Instagram last month. It was posting a comment. I guess they had three colors of these Kershaw Atmos, and you had to put a comment regarding which one was your favorite one. And my comment was picked, so you know I'm stoked. I'm happy about that. So thank you very much, Kershaw. But rest assured, I'm gonna put this bad boy through its paces. I got my usual assortments of leather, paracord, rope, twine, and water bottles to stab. And we're gonna get busy, and we're gonna see how good this does. You know, and no favors just because it was a for freezy knife. So let's get to it, guys. The Kershaw Atmos is a lightweight, budget-friendly manual flipper knife that is made in China. I know, whack. Its overall open length is 6.9 inches with a 3-inch 8CR13 MOV Twinkie steel blade, but with a nice satin finish. The handle is made out of G10 with the carbon fiber insert on both sides. The version I have has blue G10 scales, but you can also get them in OD green, tan, or black. The handle has an arched back and curved grip and feels very good in the hand. Its advertised weight is around 2 ounces, and it comes out of the box in right hand tip-up carry. The knife is meant to be a top choice for those looking for a lightweight pocket knife, and according to Kershaw's website, was a 2019 Backpacker magazine top choice. So let's see how it sizes up in our size comparison. So now it's time to do a quick size comparison. Here is the single-inch knife. Looks like the blade measures around 3 inches. The whole thing about 7 inches long. Let's see how it stacks up against some more knives. First off, one of my favorite folding knives of all time, SOCOM Elite Microtech, baby. Yep, the Microtech is a monster. The Microtech is a monster. I can't even talk. All right, next up, my Dagger Knives Sting, which is, you know, it's much bigger, but it's actually, you know, and it's thin for a big knife, but compared to this knife, you can see the size difference, how thick, the thickness difference. So even though this is a thin big knife, it's still thicker than the Kershaw Atmos. My favorite Kershaw, the Blur. The Blur is one of my all-time favorite knives, and the Blur, you know, I don't think of it as a big knife. It's way bigger than this Atmos. Another new knife to my collection, Spyderco. This, I believe, that's the Pacifica Salt 2 with the LC200N, which I plan on taking hopefully on a lot of kayak fishing trips, and just fishing in general. Huge knife. Did not know it was going to be this big when I ordered it. Really bad at checking sizes online, guys. Let's compare it with some other Kershaws in its price range and kind of size category. EDC, the Brawler. Wow, very, very, very similar size. They might be exactly the same size. Without looking at the website and checking them out, they are really close to the same size knife, but you can see the handle, the scales are wider and thicker on the Brawler. So I'm gonna put this down here, and let's go with another Kershaw knife, another similar knife, the Acclaim. The Acclaim is bigger, longer blade, bigger, thicker handle, but not much bigger at all. Very nice knife. Let's go one more Kershaw. This is the Top Knot. top knot's longer blade, but it has very similar styling, similar back spacers. Man, I can't, without looking at a ruler or something, I can't tell you which one's thicker. Oh, these back spacers. This one don't have the back spacer. It has more of a curve. This one's similar with the bump up here, but the back spacer is different and only goes to there, while this one goes all the way down and has a lanyard hole. And this one doesn't have the lanyard hole, but it does go all the way back. So I like Kershaw mixing it up. They don't stick with too much of the same thing all the time. I really do enjoy it. I'm a really huge Kershaw fan, and I love my Kershaw collection of affordable knives. I'm not a knife snob. I know I talk crap a lot about China steel and things made in China, but to be honest, you know, regular folk out there don't have money to be buying $100 knives all the time, and Kershaw makes it easy to find really cool knives that look really stylish and nice, that function well. All these knives are, you know, great looking. I believe they all have 8CR13 MOV. This one does for sure. Not sure about that. I could be wrong about the 8CR13 MOV. This one for sure has it. But they all look good. They all feel good in the hand. They're all stylish. They're all unique, and none of them break the bank. So I'm really digging what Kershaw's doing. As you can see, it's a pretty nice size compared to the rest, and a little on the small side, but not bad. The Kershaw Atmos is a Sinkovich design and looks great. The knife shape is a slim modified drop point that almost looks like a trailing point fillet knife, and includes a nice wedge and a hollow grind. It's that way that big belly curves that almost makes it look like a trailing point. It just really fools the eye. Well, it fools me at least. Anyways, the blade almost appears two-toned, as the satin finish looks more pronounced on the flat and the ricasso depending on the light hits it. It just looks wicked sharp, and for being a slim knife, has really good belly for prepping food and maybe even doing some skinning. A short section of fine jimping on the thumb rest helps transition your grip from the G10 to the knife steel. No thumb studs are to be found to detract you from the beauty of the blade. Only a small flipper nub with fine jimping to make sure you can find and actuate the flipper easily without having to look for it. The Kershaw logo, serial number of the knife, blade steel, and designer name are proudly displayed with a laser etching on either side of the hollow ground bevel, and looks great. I mean, it's Twinkie steel, but it's the best Twinkie steel probably, so I can see why they want to add that and, you know, brag about it by putting that laser etching. Anyways, Kershaw also included a China laser etching, but they made that very tiny and easy to miss, and for obvious reasons. You know, we like to support the USA over here. Yeah! Moving on from the blade, the lightly textured G10 scales feature a black carbon fiber inlay that has been smoothed, and also had the edges angled with the goal of the knife feeling comfortable in the hand and easy to glide in and out of the pocket. The carbon fiber is elegant and has an almost 3D effect when you're gazing at it lovingly. A very custom looking oversized pivot is also satin finished to match the blade, and it's operated by KVT ball bearings for a silky smooth opening. Silky smooth! The handle feet includes a black plastic backspacer, say that 5 times fast, that is molded with jimping and a lanyard hole. It looks cool and it works, but I would prefer an aluminum or even a titanium backspacer to keep with the elegant vibe. Also in black is a mini deep carry pocket clip, the screws holding the whole knife together, and the inset liner lock. All in all, the Atmos design is very elegant with great contrasting features of finish and colors, and really grabs your attention. It truly is a beautiful knife with a lot of great features that knife addicts like me crave. Does it perform as great as it looks though? Well, let's keep watching and find out. Now we move on to the nitty gritty. Does it perform as good as it looks? Long story short, the Kershaw Atmos totally exceeded my expectations. The 8CR13 MOV steel came hair shaving sharp out of the box and has surprisingly kept a sharp edge throughout the multiple hard use and testing. My experience with Twinkie steel is that it can come out really sharp, but it never holds an edge long. Well, this knife just shattered that past experience I've had. In fact, I was visiting a relative and was asked to gut some fish he had caught. He knows I always have a sharp knife on me. Unfortunately, He had caught some really big stripers with some really thick scales and tough skin, and all I had on me was the Atmos. I mean, I knew the knife was sharp out of the box, but I hadn't even run my battery test on it, and I was very worried the edge wouldn't hold out to gut all of the stripers and the one catfish he had caught. Imagine my surprise though when this little bad boy made short work of those fish, slicing through their bellies like I was holding a freaking lightsaber. The handle was great in the hand, and despite the slime, blood, and guts, I never felt like my grip suffered. I was amazed at how easily the Atmos made quick work of those fish. Moving on to food prep, the Atmos knife processed food really well and accomplished all my slicing, piercing, and slashing tests with surprising ease. Despite the limitations of the cheap Twinkie steel, the build quality on this knife is good. The sanding is good, the grinds are okay, and the knife doesn't have any bad nicks or scratches in it that I can notice. The knife opens easily with a quick flick of the flipper and has a satisfying nothing is loose, wobbly, or falling apart. Overall, I think the build quality is good. Now it's time to talk about value. As I said earlier, I didn't pay a dime for this knife. Thank you, Kershaw. But I did go into this review with the mindset that I had paid for it with my own hard-earned money to keep my review consistent with all my other reviews. Because this is the first review I've done on a knife that I didn't pay for. I work hard and I save up and I scrimp, and when I purchase these knives, I'm using my own hard-earned money. So I want to keep consistent with that mentality of I'm getting what I paid for. So imagine my surprise when I looked up the price on this knife at Blade HQ to figure out, man, how much I'm going to have to spend on it to get myself in that mind frame. And I saw the blade only cost $34.95 plus tax. I mean, $34.95? Despite the Twinkie steel, I thought because the knife had G10 scales and carbon fiber inlays and the KVT ball bearings and it was a Sinkovich design, I thought this knife would be closer to the $60 range. And you know, if you go to Kershaw's website, it will be. But $35 is not bad at all. All in with tax and shipping and handling, I think it would have costed me around $50. And don't forget, it has Kershaw's lifetime warranty. So normally I would be saying, sure, the Twinkie still sucks, but that's what makes this knife affordable, yada, yada, yada. And not, you know, all that is true. It is true. But so far, this knife has performed great. Anyways, you can buy the colored versions online at bladehq.com and the black version on Kershaw's website for a little bit more money. And I'll have the links posted in the video description for you guys. So now we move on to my knife review rating score. This rating system is something I came up with to help me quantify and rate my knife collection, and has a lot of different categories such as blade steel, design, performance, etc. So let's get to it. The first category rates the blade steel. This blade uses bona fide Twinkie steel, and even though it has performed really good, the score has to suffer for it. I'm sorry, but it still is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. I gave it a 2 out of 10. Next up is handles or scales. I love the look and feel of the knife scales. It feels great and light in the hand, and the blue and black contrasting with the knife finish make it look like a high-end knife that would cost at least a couple $100. The blade shape on the knife makes it an excellent utility knife, and I never worried about my grip, even when sawing the head off a slimy catfish. Honestly, I just love the design, and so I gave it a score of 8 out of 10. The next category is value. I feel this knife is a fantastic value, and not only because I got it for free. Despite the Twinkie steel, this knife has performed way past what I expected of it and has a lifetime warranty. Man, forget about it. I gave it a 10 out of 10. Moving on, this next category grants up to 5 extra points for build quality, special coating or paint, and premium hardware. The build quality is good for a mass-produced knife, and the KVT bearings keep it operating buttery smooth. The blade swedge and hollow grind look great as well, and in the end, I gave this knife 2 out of 5 possible extra points in this category. Next up is a biggie, performance. So I never go into the individual slicing, chopping, piercing, and slashing extra points. Those crash coursers who watch my channel know I never do. But let's just say this knife scored extremely very well. Surprisingly very well. The Twinkie Steel never let me down as I easily sliced through everything I wanted. In the end, I gave this knife an 8 out of 10. The next category is pocket presence or sheath. This knife has bullied its way into my EDC rotation as it is surprisingly light and thin and just disappears in your pocket. It smoothly glides in and out, and despite being a small lightweight knife, it performs like a much bigger knife thanks to its slender 3-inch blade. It's light enough for dress slacks or even cheap gym shorts. You won't feel it weighing it down and making you feel like you're gonna get pants at any moment. The mini deep carry pocket clip is limited to right or left hand tip up carry, so I knocked a point off of it for those that prefer tip down carry, but other than that, I don't have any problems with this nice pocket presence. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Finally, we come up to our last category, extra points. This category grants up to 5 points based on subjective style, special features, and design. The Kershaw Atmos is an elegant, practical blade that just looks great in my honest opinion. It gets the attention of all the fellas when I whip it out, if you know what I mean. Its design details are great, and I'm really starting to become a Sinkovich fan. It may be a budget knife, but it doesn't look or perform like a cheap knife at all. I awarded it 5 extra points out of 5. So, in the end, the Kershaw Atmos scored a total of 51 out of 75. Wow. I mean, wow, that's an amazing score for a budget knife that costs $35 featuring Twinkie Steel. I mean, that score ties it for the high score in my folding knife collection. It ties it up there with my Spyderco M4 Shaman, my Microtech SOCOM Elite, my Kershaw M4 Blur, my Hogue EX04. I can't believe it. Those knives all cost much more. The Kershaw Blur is still under the $100 range, but the Spyderco Shaman, the Microtech, the Hogue, those are all over $200 knives. And this knife just tied them in my knife review score. That's amazing. I just can't believe it.
Oh, I can't believe it.
So, to sum things up, Kershaw and Sinkovich knocked it out of the park with this knife. And anybody looking for a lightweight and affordable EDC should definitely check this knife out. I think you would love it. This knife actually has me looking at what Sinkovich knives that Zero Tolerance is selling. That's how much I love the design of this knife. It makes me want to go out and buy a ZT Sinkovich, because if this budget version performs so well, imagine how much better a high-end version will perform. Honestly, just give me some super steel and maybe a titanium backspacer, and this knife would be perfect. Guess it's time to start saving up for another layaway. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Survival Crash Course. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, this is Omega Agent 661 signing out.